Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. In this video, I'm going to do the overview for my roof project. Now, I'm going to cover tips, tricks, and lessons learned from this job. I'm hoping the information I give you is going to help to make your job go that much smoother. So with that in mind, we'll look at the final result of the roof. Alright, so the roof is 100% complete now. So this is the north side. It's basically a big rectangle. It has the one plumbing flashing over there and then a chimney flashing. The ridge vent extends all the way across. Now, the wind comes out of the west, so for my cap ridge, I went everything going the opposite way. So if the wind is going to hit this side, it'd be better to flip it the other way because the wind will pick up these points over time and start to pull them off. But because the wind comes out of the west, I did it all like this. Otherwise, for the very top here, I stopped it a foot short on either side for the actual notch for the ridge vent, and then just to make it look better, I went the entire way. So this is our south side. Got the gooseneck, the one bathroom vent, and then that is the 3-inch sewer vent down there. We have our double valley. So this plumbing vent here used to be down in the valley, so I moved that out. I have my W valley for my ridge vent on this side. If you see down here, I just went in a line. I mean, if you want to go farther, you could. I don't think it's going to make a difference, but anything is better than what I had going on before because it was just undervented. Now, there's one thing that happened on this side that I wasn't expecting. And when I moved my flashing down at the bottom there, I wound up hitting the side of the gutter. So this here, the water, even under a very light rain, would go off and then hit the very side of the gutter and start leaking down to the ground. So what I did is I took 2 pieces of step flashing. I bent the step flashing on top of the gutter and then I put a couple screws into it. So there are screws to hold this piece down, and then I put another 2 pieces into, another 2 screws to hold this vertical piece to this one here. So this goes all the way down, so any water that hits will go straight down and not go off the gutter. Now, because this gutter only has one downspout, it's already lower because we have 10 feet coming up here, so I think that was part of the issue. If there was a 5-inch gutter, it probably would have been better. But I've already tested this works, so I'm happy with the result. Alright, so this is the one area that there is step flashing. So I put a Kiko flashing at the bottom, and then behind the wood siding here, I put my step flashing. So I've done this properly from what I had going on before. So there were a couple nails here that should be painted. I should put this one back in, but otherwise this should be repainted because it's just going to deteriorate. Otherwise, this is the biggest roof I've ever done on my own. It was a lot of work, but I'm happy to get some content with it. Everything worked out fairly well, so I'm happy with the job. Alright guys, so that concludes this roof job. So what I'm going to go over is tips, tricks, and lessons learned. In no particular order. This will just be point by point. You can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it a tip or a trick or a lesson learned, that's perfectly fine. But I think this information is going to help you guys. Point number 1, plan your job. This seems common sense, which it is, but it's not just how much material that you need. Plan out what kind of material you want to use. I used IKO Dynasty instead of Cambridge. The Dynasty was $5 more a bundle than Cambridge. It was the middle of the road. For an extra couple $100, I think it's better to go with something middle of the road instead of bare bones minimal. Another thing is, how much material do you have to get onto the roof? If you have to get on, I think in my case it was about 3,000 pounds worth of material, are you going to go up and down a ladder, or are you going to get a crane truck to deliver it in one shot? If your access is 30 feet up or 10 meters, are you going to go up and down a ladder that high with bundles of shingles? I mean, I only had to go up 10 feet because my access was off the one corner of the house. But these are other things that you're going to have to know, that you're going to have to plan out. the time of the year for your job, the weather conditions for your region. These are other things that you're going to have to keep in mind. Obviously, you're going to have more daylight hours during the summertime than you will in the fall. Another thing is, if it's cold, then the seal strips are not going to activate until it's warm. So that's another thing that you're going to have to keep in mind when it comes to the time of the year. Next point, get help. This sounds easier. It's actually easier said than done. I had about 6 or 7 people that I told months in advance that I would need help on this job, and I mean, I only got help from 1, maybe 2 people. When they did help, they could only stay for a few hours. Well, that's not really going to benefit you. Having people that can stay for a full day is going to be a lot better than just a couple hours. Now, people have lives, they have commitments, they have family, they have whatever. Get the help that you can get. Even hiring people was problematic because I just couldn't get the help that I needed to. So if you're going to be limited with the help like I was here, what I would suggest is all the tough stuff, get your labor to help you with that. So getting plywood up onto the roof. It's going to be very difficult to do it on your own. Bundles of shingles. It's going to be a lot harder, a lot slower for you to get it on your own. What I noticed with setup, it'll take me 20 minutes to get all my tools up onto the roof. If I had a second guy, it'd be done in 5 minutes. And this is something I've learned over the years as well. By having a second person, you're actually more than twice as fast than if you're working solo. So get help, because it's going to make your job so much easier. Even if you have to put a post for labor, then I would suggest trying to do that. But for this job, 90% of it I did solo, and that was a contributing factor why it took so long for me to get this all done on my own. Because when you can only do one thing at a time, I mean, it murders you for time, and you only have so many hours in the day for daylight. Next point, buy a used setup. So the nailer and compressor I bought were used. I paid $270. It took me about 7 weeks to do the entire job. But if you're spending $100 a day for a rental for a compressor and a nailer, and I did check this last year before I did this job, that's what the rate was. Well, if it's $100 a day and it's going to take you 2 months, you might as well just buy a new setup opposed to even a used one, because it's going to be cheaper than constantly renting. Time and money is another factor. How much fuel are you going to spend going back and forth? So I would suggest get a used setup. Make sure that your nailer is ready to go. You're going to have no issues. Test it. Make sure everything is good to go. One issue I did actually run into is the nails that I originally bought were 1 3/4. The nailer I bought were only good up to 1 1/4. Now the second box of nails I bought were 1 1/4, so everything was fine. But that was something I overlooked. It all worked out in the end. But make sure that your nailer is going to take the nails that you have on hand. Next point. Watch the weather reports. There's only 2 things out of your control on a job like this: getting labor and then the weather. Now I started in the spring, which I had a good couple weeks of good weather, and you're racing the first rain. I actually got caught where I didn't have enough tarps at the time, and I just fell behind because of a lack of labor. I actually did get water into the house in the kitchen, bathroom, and 1 bedroom, where I now have to go repaint it. It was minimal, it wasn't a big deal, but if you're going to do this for somebody else, this will be a very big issue, because people don't like water coming into their house. So when it comes to weather, another thing will be not just rain, wind. I had my ice and water blow off, or parts of it start to pick up, because it wasn't warm enough for the adhesive to stick down, and that was another issue in itself. When you're doing your shingles, as long as you have enough of the bottom covered up, then it's a lot easier to tarp. But weather is going to be a factor that you cannot control, so be on top of it. If you know that a few days of rain is coming, get your tarps, make sure that they're down, and just wait it out. Don't try to race anything, because with big tarps, it's just tough to move everything back and forth. The last point, be prepared for overages. So I had to replace about 10 extra sheets of plywood. I didn't know the condition of the plywood, the stuff that was rotted out. So because everything was under vented, this was an issue where the plywood for the addition rotted out. And actually, when it rained, one piece of plywood I left in actually went bubbly. So I had to remove that one too. But I spent money on an extra 10 sheets of plywood that I wasn't expecting. The one rotted truss that had to be ripped and redone. Extra painting so stuff would match and other stuff. Be prepared that it's not going to go perfectly your job. You're going to have nuances. You're going to have things that will go wrong. Things that you need to repair, maybe that you want to improve. Because if you're doing this for yourself and you notice things that you don't like with the attic not being insulated, I thought there was no insulation. It was actually in R12. But the extra insulation was more time, more money. But if you can renovate something that is going to give you a cost benefit down the road, or what we call an ROI, or return on investment, insulating the attic, do it once and it'll be good for the life of the house. So I went from an R12 to now an R62 or an R52, whatever it was, from the insulation that I put down. So the minor extra costs long term will be better for you. Now for the typical stuff, time on the job. The time was 7 weeks. I was working 90 hours a week for 7 weeks because I still had a full-time job. Now you may be asking, why don't you just take time off? Well, I have to take time off a few months in advance. If it's raining for a week that I took off, it's not going to help me. So 7 weeks is what it took me to do this job. I was working 90 hours a week on it, so that was my full-time job. How many hours on this job? I'm going to say 500 or 600 in total. It was physically demanding. It was long days, but I would still do this all over again because I'm not going to pay anybody to do this job. The cost of this job. The material, so plywood insulation, moving the vent, shingles, the roofing and everything else. My cost, including the wages I paid out, was $8,000. Now, my estimates that I got were 18 to 20,000. I got 3 estimates. They were all very close. Now, one thing with estimates, they all told me the same thing, that the roof was undervented, which I didn't actually know myself. So, if you get an estimate or a couple contractors, they will give you some information that you can use to improve the result of your job, because we're all DIYers here. I'm not a roofer, but I can do it. I just need a little bit of guidance. So my cost was $8,000. All the work that was done here, I'm going to ballpark, was probably $23,000 with a contractor. The extra 10 sheets of plywood, $3 to $5 per foot. I mean, it adds up very quickly. The attic insulation, I never crossed this bridge with any contractor because I wasn't going to hire anybody anyway, but that would be another cost plus. Otherwise, I'm very happy with the way this job went. My roof will be good for the next 20 years. It's not something I want to do again, but I will if I have to. I will tell you this, if you're going to be doing roofing, for one person, it's practical to do roughly a garage, a 1 or 2 car garage, but something this big is not going to be practical to do on your own. You can do it. It's going to be a lot of grinding. If you're going to the same place every day and you have a 5-minute drive, it's not a big deal. But if you have to drive 20 minutes per way to do somebody else's job, again, this is more time, more money, and you only have so much daylight to do work in. Guys, I hope you enjoy the playlist, this video series. This is the biggest roof job I've done on my own. This is the biggest job on the channel to date. This was the biggest job I've taken on in 15 years on my own. It was a tough way to save $15,000, but I'm glad it's over with, and the best part is I got content to help you guys out as well. Guys, till next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.